Om Sahanavavatu Sahanavabhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krita Vande Bhagavantam Punah Punah Sriharim Paramanandam Upadeshtaram Ishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. This is the Mangalacharanam. We have seen the Mangalacharanam. Mangalacharanam is necessary. Before you do anything, remember Bhagavan. That is called Mangalacharanam. Remembering the Parameshwara as the unchanging source of the whole universe, including your body and the mind, is what is called Mangalacharanam. The definition of God as given by Vedanta is different from the definition of God as entertained by so many other religions. Please understand this point very well. I know it is very difficult, but it is you have to see the difference. The difference is that the truth is not other than yourself, whereas in other religions it is always looked upon as something other than yourself. But the truth is not other than yourself. The truth is yourself. You are being the truth, but uh, you may think that you are the form, but it is the formless truth. You are being it, like just as the wave. I may call it a wave, but it is being water. Similarly, I may call myself the body. I may view myself as the body, but I am being the truth. And the unconfined. As the truth, I am free from the embodiment. I am free from the thought. I am free from time and space and form and time, etc. And the Mangalacharanam helps you to recognize this fact, and therefore Mangalacharanam is required. Aparokshanubhuti prochete moksha siddhe. This we have seen. This verse also, second verse also we have seen. That is Aparokshanubhuti made it is given. It is taught here. Aparoksham, aparokshai, anubhuti. Aparoksha and anubhuti both are one and the same. To be aparoksha means to be in the form of anubhuti, and therefore aparokshascha, so anubhutischa. This is aparoksha and this is in the form of anubhava. Anubhava are one and the same, and therefore it is anubhava swarupam. It is self-evident, and therefore you don't have to use the senses to know yourself. You don't have to use the senses. You don't require the thought to know. You don't have to know, use the eyes and ears, etc., the senses to know yourself. And therefore, even the thought is used. That is only to correct the thought, the wrong thought. The right thought is used to wrong thought. But that I am not Deha, that the existence of one's own being is not something that is not the existence of one's own being is not something that is objectifiable. The existence of something, the existence of one's own being is something is not objectifiable, and it is something it need not be objectified. It is self-evident, and therefore Sadbhireva prayatnena vikshaniya muhurmuhu. It is meant for liberation. Aparokshanubhuti is meant for liberation, and this has to be studied only by the good people, the peaceful people. A good person is one who is a peaceful person. There is no goodness beyond peace. Peace is an end in itself. Goodness may be a means to an end. It is a means to peace. When you are good, you are peaceful. And therefore, peace is not used. Relative peace is used also to get to recognize the absolute peace. Man is being absolute serenity, but due to avidya, he thinks that he is only relatively serene. Relative serenity, relative peace is only due to avidya. Otherwise, is peace absolute. He is knowledge absolute. He is anandam absolute bliss. He is satyam jnanam anantam, and therefore he is satyam. He is existence absolute. He is, but he looks relative. as confined to the form, as due to avidya. Swavarnashrama dharmena tapasa haritoshanat. It has to, and therefore goodness is not something that is different from peace. The goodness is used. Sadbirevaha means those good, even though Sat means, even though we say it is goodness, but Sat means those who are associated with Sat, the source of everything. The one who, those who reflect on the Sat, the source of everything. And therefore that thing, that vichara alone makes you a good person. That without the self inquiry, without thinking about the truth, you cannot be good also. Even though you use the will to be good, you can't be good unless you are a student of the truth, please. Swavarnashrama dharmena. Varna and ashrama are gone. Varna, this particular sloka was written long ago, some hundreds of years ago, and therefore Swavarnashrama dharmena. This is written by Shankaracharya, we believe. That which Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya wrote, or some other Shankaracharya wrote, we don't know. Who has written it is immaterial, please. This you have to understand. What is written alone is important. It may have been written by a child, it doesn't matter. What is written, does it make sense? What is written is, if it makes sense, if it then it is useful, then it is a pramana. And therefore, Swavarna Ashrama Dharmena. Therefore, the Varna doesn't dictate your duty, Ashrama doesn't dictate your duty, even though ashrama is there. But then your survival is you have to survive. That survival dictates your duty, please. Your survival dictates your duty. And survival is survival of the body, survival of the mind, survival of the intellect, etc. Survival of you as an individual, as a jiva, is important. That is what dictates your duty. Survival alone dictates your duty. Sarvavarna ashrama dharmena tapasa. And with tapasa means with tapas. Tapas means something, putting up with things, with hardships, with difficulty, with difficulty. Even if it is difficult, you always do your duty, and that then it becomes tapas, please. When it is difficult, it becomes tapas. Tapas means tapati iti tapas. It is scorching, it is difficult, and throws its light also. Tapasa haritoshanat. Haritoshanat means harati papani iti harihe. Toshanat means it is a law that when you do your duty, it pleases God. It pleases the truth. That is the law. It pleases the truth means it's not that really, just as when you abide by the law, it pleases the government. Which is the government? The government is not something, that is the law. That is the law. When you abide by the law appreciates you. That appreciation is what is called haritoshanat. Haritoshanat, by the pleasing of the God, sadhanam prabhavet, your means of understanding grows. Prabhavet means grows. Pumsam, for the human beings. Vairagyadi chatushtayam. And what is the means that makes you, that facilitates you to understand Vairagyadi chatushtayam? Vairagya, Viveka, Shamaha, Damaha, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana, Mumukshutvam. These fourfold qualifications. Shamaha, Damaha, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam make one, that is Shamadi Shatka Sampatti. This is what is called Shatka Sampatti. Means these six make one. Vairagyam, Viveka, these sixfold control, self-control, and mumukshatu. That means this is called sadhana chatushtayam. The great four spiritual values facilitate you facilitate you to understand the truth. If you want to understand the truth, uh, and if you don't want to understand the truth, even if you have vairagyam, and then even if you have shamaha, damaha, uparade, diksha, shraddha, samadhanam, even if you say, "Amma moksha kyun nahi milta hai," etc., etc., it is not going to. You are not going to think. The moksha is not going to come. It is only when you understand the value of understanding yourself. The value of understanding yourself, you will try to understand. When you try to understand yourself, then sadhana chatushtayam, then the fourfold qualifications facilitate you to understand. If you don't want to understand, nobody can make you to understand. And therefore, you have to look at yourself. If you want to understand yourself, you have to look at your existence. Aham and idam. The discern between aham and idam. The body is idam and aham is your nature. You are referring to yourself by the word aham. Aham means me, I. Just as in English we use the word I to refer to one's own existence, I the existence. It is, I am the body is something that is aham pratyaya place. But aham is, you have to discern between aham the being and the body the form, the body the form. And therefore this, in this manner, aham also, aham pratyaya is different from aham the being place, aham the atma. Aham the atma is different from aham the body. Aham the body is what is called aham pratyaya, it's called ahankara. But aham the being is what is called aham. And that is aham the atma is different from aham the body, the pratyaya. And therefore sadhanam pravetumsam vairagyadi chatushtayam. Vairagya, viveka, ityadi, fourfold qualifications. Now, in the beginning, he is talking about vairagya. Brahmadi sthavaranteshu. Brahmadi sthavaranteshu means from the highest realm to the lowest. The sthavara means the trees, etc. Sthavara, they remain at one place. They are called nagas. They don't get nagachati. They don't move around. The trees don't move around. They grow vertically. All right. But they don't move around. Brahmadi sthavaranteshu, in all the Brahmadi sthavara, in Brahmaloka to uh, Martyaloka, all the objects that are objectifiable is what is called Brahmadi sthavaranteshu, vairagyam vishayeshvanu. Vishayeshu means in all the objects. Anu means in keeping with their nature. The objects are temporary. The objects are temporary. They become manifest now. They become unmanifest now. And in death, they go for good. Means your body is gone for good. Your mind is gone for good. Your memory is gone for good. And therefore the objects become unmanifest again. You become manifest, and another body becomes manifest for you. Another memory becomes manifest for you. Another mind becomes manifest for you. Another other thoughts become manifest for you, and those thoughts pertain to the objects around, and those objects become manifest and unmanifest, and they become again manifest. These objects, when you are reborn, they become manifest. And therefore Vishayeshu anu. Anu means in keeping with the nature of the objects. In keeping with the nature of the objects, you have to have the vairagyam for them. What kind of vairagyam you should have? Say they are temporary, even though it is said kakavishtaya, it's like a drop of a kaka. A drop of a kaka means they like even the fecal matter of the feces of a kaka. Kaka means a crow. A crow's vishta. A crow. Kaka vishtayam. Vairagyam thadya nirmalam. That kind of vairagyam is nirmalam. Nirmalam means pure. I don't say that. You don't have to look upon the objects as kakavishta. Understand that they are temporary, and that they come and go. They become manifest now, they become unmanifest now, and therefore they are not my answer. That they are not my answer is what is called vairagyam. You have to be very serious about the objects. The objects are not really your answer, please. And therefore kakavishthayam, just as kakavishta is there, the kakavishta is there, you don't feel like eating it. In the same manner, the objects also, you don't should not feel like enjoying them. Why? Because even though it is like Kakavishta, it is said, but I would like to say that they are temporary and they are not the answer. That is how you have to understand. That is called Vairagyam. Vairagyam means Viragasya Bhavaha. Raga means I like. And Viraga means I don't like. Vairagyam is the The abstract noun of viraga. Viragasya bhavaha vairagyam. Vairagyam means the estate of being free from the like for the objects. A state of being free from the like for the objects is what is called vairagyam. That means you don't like for you don't have to have the dislike, you don't have to have the hatred, but it's just you are not interested in it. They are not my answer. I may go through the pleasures, I may go through the pains that are given by the objects. If they descend on me, then that doesn't mean that they are the answer. The objects are not the answer. The sukham, the pleasures are not the answer. The pains are not, the pleasantness of the objects is not the answer. The unpleasantness of the objects is not the problem. Avidya is that I don't understand myself is the problem, and that I understand myself is the answer. Neither pleasantness of the things nor the unpleasantness of the things is the problem or the answer, please. Nityam Atma. Atma is Nityam. Nityam Atmaswarupam hi Drishyam tad viparitagam. Evam yo nishyaha samyag viveko vastuna sabai. Now he is defining what is Viveka. Nityam Atmaswarupam. Atmaswarupam means the nature of Atma is Nityam, is eternal. Why? Because you are there in all the three states. In the waking state and dream state are bracketed together because there is perception, and in the deep sleep state there is no perception. You see both the perception and also be, and seeing the non-perception means being without perception. Seeing the non-perception means being without perception, and therefore, in the waking state, you say, "I see the perception of the objects, and I also understand the non-perception of the objects." And the one who understand, the one who sees the bhava and abhava, the perception as well as the non-perception, he is eternal. Please, he is neither object perceivable, nor is he non-perceivable. Just because you don't perceive the objects, he is not there. You can't say he is unobjectifiable. Ityartha. The perception of the objects is the presence of the objects is objectifiable. The absence also is objectifiable. You think of them, but then the truth, the one who sees both, is unobjectifiable. Nityam Atma Swarupam. Nityam Atma Swarupam. Your existence is both in all the three states. And that makes it Nityam, that makes it eternal. You are with the time and you are there. You are being free from time. You are with the space. When the space is there, you are there. When the space is not there, also, you are there. Because seeing the absence of the space means being without space. Seeing the absence of thought means being without thought. Seeing the absence of the universe means being without the absence. Seeing the absence of the body means being without the body. Seeing the absence of the senses means being without the senses. But seeing the absence of thought means being without the thought. This you have to understand very clearly, because we are all now old now. Now, as we grow old, we need to understand the truth. We need to understand ourselves. And the word that is used for your nature is aham, and the word that is used for the body is idam. And between aham and idam there is a difference. And as you go on thinking in terms of the difference between aham and idam, it will become clear. Ji, aham is different from idam. Aham is unobjectifiable, idam is objectified. But they are not two parallel facts, please. They are not two parallels. Aham and idam are not two parallels. And therefore, don't try to pull yourself out of the body, etc. Because you are the Atma of the body. You are the Atma. You are unlike the body, but there is no division between the body and you. That's why Swamiji used to say, the body is me, but I am not the body. The B is A, but A is not B. Peculiar mathematics. B is A, but A is not B. The error is the fact. The fact is not the error, please. And therefore, the error is not non-separate from the fact. Without there being a fact, you can't have an error, please. And therefore, the error depends upon the fact. The fact does not depend upon the era. And therefore, Nityam Atmaswarupam hi Drishyam Tadviparitagam. Drishyam means the objects. Tadviparitagam, that it is something in contrast to yourself. In contrast to your being is what is called the Drishyam. Drishyam Tadviparitagam. And the body is in contrast to aham. Idam is the whole universe can be objectified. Anything that can be objectified is idam, please. Even the thoughts that can be objectified, the thoughts means only objects, because every thought pertains to something or the other. Therefore, and they are also drishyam, and therefore they are all unlike you. You are unlike them, and but then evam yo nishchaya, but they are not parallel, please. This is the most difficult thing to understand. They see they are unlike each other, but there is no division between each other. They are not parallel to each other, please. They are not two realities like Sankhya thinks. Sankhya always thought Atma is wonderful, Asangaha, but then this entire Anatma is called Prakriti. Prakriti is different from Purusha. Purusha is one conscious fact, Prakriti matter is an unconscious fact. Both of them are parallels. In this manner, the Sankhya thinks. But we can't think of them being parallel because the consciousness is not, there is nothing parallel to a conscious being, because everything, conscious being is unlimited. And what is unlimited is comprehensive of the entire limitation of an object. As an object, it is limited, and therefore the aham is comprehensive of all idams as aham itself, and aham as comprehensive of all idams is ceases to be aham. It becomes the absolute. It remains the absolute, please. Because aham, as long as idam is not understood as non-separate from aham, so long it is called aham. But once it is understood as non-separate from aham, aham ceases to be aham. Then it is like in sushupti. Yeah, until you go to sleep, there is a desire to go to sleep. But once you go to sleep, then there is no desire. In the same manner, in the same manner here also, until until you understand the idam as non-separate from aham, so long the aham looks like aham. But idam understood as non-separate from aham, aham ceases to be aham, and it remains absolute. It is absolute in the sense there is no word. No word can qualify the truth. Even the word truth cannot qualify the truth, please. Aham cannot qualify the truth. As it is all just a matter of understanding. Aham is used for understanding. It is a part of understand. It is a part of prakriya. It is a part of prakriya is different. Prakriya is something that is Shastra uses the methodology. It is a part of methodology of pointing out the truth. It is not the methodology does not qualify the truth, please. Methodology like the branch, the branch through which you point out the moon doesn't qualify the moon. You can't say it is above the branch always. That is not its nature. It is pointed out. Now it is there. Now you see, use the tree's branch, and then a fork in the branch, and through the fork you can point out the moon, a thin line of the moon. It is a Prajapada moon, and therefore nothing, even the word truth doesn't qualify the truth. Even the word aham doesn't qualify the truth. It is avyapadesham. It is avyapadesham means no word can be used. Vacho yatha yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. It is said no thought can qualify the truth, no word can qualify the truth. Word and thought go together, and they no, and therefore it is said no thoughts can qualify the truth, no words can qualify the truth. Even the right thought doesn't qualify the truth. Right thought only presupposes the wrong thought. When the wrong thought is gone, there is no right thought also. The right thought also goes away when the wrong thought is gone. Then only the truth remains. And therefore, whether it is a right thought or wrong thought, thought itself doesn't qualify the truth. And therefore, evam yo nishchayaha. In this manner, the one who evam yo nishchayaha, this decision, determination in whom it is found. this determination that the truth is not aham and idam are not two parallels. In this manner, whatever I said, the one who understands, the one who determines, the one who is clear about this methodology, evam yo nishcheha, samyak means clearly, vivekaha vastunaha savai. This is called vivekaha. This is called savai. Saha, vivekaha savai. Vai means indeed. Saha means this. Vivekaha means this is indeed savai. Vivekaha. Samyak means properly. Yo nishchaya, the one who has determined in this manner clearly, determining in this manner clearly is what is called vivekaha. What is vivekaha? Determining that aham is unlike idam, but aham and idam, they are not parallel to each other. In this manner, the one who understands, there is a contrast between asmat pratyay vishayaha and yushmat pratyay vishayaha. Yushmat pratyay vishayaha means you. You can always look at the body as you until it is until it is until it is understood that the aham is indeed separate from idam. You continue to think in terms of aham and idam, that see the contrast between the two, and the aham is understood as non as separate from the deha, and then the aham the atma, if it is separate from this deha, then it is separate from the whole universe, and if it is the atma of this body, then it is the atma of the whole universe, and as atma of the whole universe it is called brahman, and therefore atma is brahman. Sadeva sam idamakarashit ekameva advitiyam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi. It is said that the what Brahman, that Brahman the what iti. And therefore this is called Viveka. Vastunaha Sava. Vastunaha, Vastu means Asti iti Vastu. Vastu means that Vasati or Asti. I would like to say Vastu. Vastu means what is. It doesn't have a will. Truth is something, it is there. Whether it is an inert fact or a conscious fact, there is no will. An inert fact doesn't have a conscious a will. A pot doesn't have a will. A clay doesn't have a will. Similarly, consciousness doesn't have a will. Consciousness is the atma of even the will. The individuals alone, the individual pranis, the jivas have the will, but that will, the will is the will is not something that determines the truth. What determines the truth? The will. If consciousness doesn't have the will, and that is called vastu. Vastu means neither the inert things have the will nor the consciousness have the will. Here the vastu means the conscious being. Even the vastu word is used even for the physical facts. A scientist always uses the word vastu for the scientific facts. But here we are talking about the conscious fact. A conscious being is also called vastu because it is. It is not something. It has a will. It is a silent being, a silent conscious being. A silent means absolutely silent conscious being is what is one's nature. Silently conscious being. And therefore, when it is silent, just as silence doesn't have the will, a silent being also doesn't have the will. And therefore, you can use the will to understand that you have no will, that to understand yourself. Will is used to be, the will is used to understand the will free being that you are. The will free being that you are. The will free being, the will free consciousness that you are. To understand that you can use the will. Vishayebhya paravrittihi. Now it is said shamaha damaha uparati. Now it is being defined what is uparatihi. विषयेभ्यः परावृत्तिः सदैव वासनायाः त्यागः शमोयमिति शब्दः निग्रहो बाह्यवृत्तीनां दमः इत्यभिधीयते. So vastu has been defined. We have already told vastu means a conscious being, and next is the shamaha is being defined, not uparati. I'm sorry, it is the sixth verse we have to see. Sadaiva vasana tyaga. Sadaiva means always. Vasana tyaga means renunciation of the desire. Vasana means any desire, any potentiality of the desire. You vasana tyaga, sadaiva vasana tyaga, renunciation of the desire. Shama, shamoyamit shabditaha. It is called shamaha. It is shamaha means shanti. When you are free from the desire, you are peaceful, relatively peaceful. When you are free from kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, when you have no desire, then you are free from the impulses also. You can't be greedy without desire. You can't be jealous without a desire. And therefore, when you are free from the desire, you are free from kama, krodha, lobha, moha. When you are free from kama, you are free from krodha, you are free from lobha, you are free from moha, you are free from mada and matsarya. When you are free from the desire, and the freedom from desire takes care of the rest of the freedom. Freedom from the desire takes care of the rest of the freedom. This you have to understand, please, properly. Freedom from the desire makes you understand that you are free from many things, many impulses. And that freedom from the desire and freedom from the impulses is what is called shama. Shamaha ayamiti. This is called shamaha iti shabditaha. It is called shabditaha means called. It is called. It is called shamaha. It is called shabditaha. Shamaha ayamiti. Ayam means this is ayam. Ayam means this. Shamaha means this is called shamaha. Iti shabditaha. Vasana sadaiva, always vasana tyaga. Freedom from desire, renunciation of desire is called shamaha. Nigraha bahya vrittina. This is also actually, it is damaha. The physical, the physical features, the physical feature, controlling the physical distractions, the physical distractions. So nigraha, supposing nigraha means control. Whenever there is a distraction, bahya vrittina means, the bahya vrittina means like the body's responses. The body tries to, the hands tries to grab, the legs wants to reach, etc. And the tongue wants to talk something, I want this, etc. Such that's physical. The bodily gestures are controlled. Iti damaha ityabhidiyate. It is abhidiyate means it's called. Damaha iti, as damaha. Iti abhidiyate. It is called damaha. What is damaha? Controlling the physical, the bodily gestures. Controlling the bodily gestures is what is called damaha. Controlling the physical part. Controlling the mental part is what is called shamaha. Controlling the physical part is what is called damaha. In this manner, shamaha, damaha have been defined. Nigamacharya Vakyeshu. Nigama means the Veda. Nigama means Veda, please. Nigama. Agama, Nigama. Nigama Acharya. Acharya means the teachers. Vakyeshu means in the statements of the statements made by, in the words made by the teachers, the Vedantic teachers. Bhaktihi, Shraddheti Vishruta. Then seventh verse we have to see, no? Yes, sir. Yes. We are missing some words are there. Vishayabhyaha paravritti. Vishayabhyaha. And now the seventh verse we have to see. Vishayabhyaha paravritti. Vishayabhyaha paravritti means withdrawing from the objects. Vishaya paravritti means withdrawing. Parama uparatirhi sa. Paramoparatihi. It is indeed Parama uparatihi. It is it is indeed great uparatihi. Parama uparatihi. He sa. It is indeed the peak of the uparati. Uparatihi means abiding. There is nothing to abide. You have to only um, withdraw from the objects. That is why I said Uparati, even though Uparati, when I was a student of Vedanta, I was told Uparati means abiding on one's duty. Here it is said Vishayabhyaha paravritti. Vishayabhyaha means from the objects. Paravritti means avritti means you. Paravritti means withdrawing from the objects. Parama uparatihi, uparatirihi sa. Sa is said, it is called uparatihi, it is feminine gender, and therefore sa it is. Sa parama uparatihi, parama uparatihi, paramoparatihi. Paramoparatihi means paramaha uparatihi. Paramoparatihi sa. It is indeed the peak of Uparatihi. It is indeed the peak of Uparatihi. Paramoparatihi, I can't say it is timeless Uparatihi. It is in time only, but it is indeed the peak of Uparatihi. Sahanam sarvadukhanam. And when you sahanam, now then second line is defining titiksha. What is titiksha? Sahanam sarvadukhanam. You go through life has lot of difficulties. Ji. Survival is not easy in this world. Survival means if you go to America, you have to work and work and work like a workaholic. In India also, in order to you have to either whatever you do, even begging is not easy. Please, you have to put up with heat and cold, and then you have to beg, and therefore even survival, working is difficult, and therefore vyadi is difficult. That is why Bhagavan says, "Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshana darshanam." Um, Janma is difficult, Mrityu is difficult. As the Mrityu comes closer and closer, you feel scared of it, and therefore, Mrityu Jara, the old age is difficult. Who is going to look after you? And then Vyadi, the disease is difficult. The struggle for peace is difficult. The struggle, ultimately, you are throughout life, in every stage, you are only struggling for peace, please. Even though you say we are struggling for happiness, pleasures, but then pleasures also are a means to an end, and that end is this peace. You are interested only in peace, please. Pleasures also, we think they are going to make peaceful, and therefore peace is not a means to an end. Relative peace is a means to recognize the absolute peace that your nature is. That is different. In that manner, the relative peace is a sadhanam, and the absolute peace is recognized. Peaceful nature is recognized. And therefore, everything else, like karma, freedom from the karma, desire, etc., freedom from the impulses, it is only a facilitator of, it only gives you relative peace. Otherwise, you don't get relative peace also. Nigamacharya Vakyeshu. In this, no, no, we have to see the seventh verse. विषयेभ्यः परावृत्तिः परम उपरतिः परमोपरतिः सा परमः उपरतिः परमः उपरतिः means सा परमा plus उपरतिः परमोपरतिः परमा plus उपरतिः परमोपरतिः. It has to be divided like this. Parama uparatihi paramoparatihi. Sa means that thing. Uh, Freedom from the withdrawing from the objects itself is called abiding. Then sahanam sarvadukhanam, sahanam, putting up with all kinds of difficulties. And there is only one difficulty: struggle for peace, the struggle for existence, the struggle for consciousness. You don't want to fall unconscious, please. You want to retain consciousness. Even if you die, death is not a problem, but losing one's existence. When the body is gone, I am gone. When the body is there, I am there. In this manner, one thinks too much. One looks at one's existence as conditional to the body. Whatever is the condition, if the body is hungry, I am hungry. The body is thirsty, I am thirsty. If the body is secure, I am secure. If the body is insecure, I am insecure. In this manner, the bodily qualities are imposed upon the Atma, and Atma's quality of consciousness is imposed upon on the body, and therefore the body looks conscious. It is sentient. And therefore, this is what is called Adhyasa. And therefore, discerning between the body and the Atma is what is called Viveka, we have seen. But now, what is Titiksha? Sahanam Sarvadukhanam. Titiksha Sa Shubhamata. That is called really the real Titiksha. The Titiksha, the Shubha means the auspicious Titiksha. It is auspiciousness to put up with things, because the difficulties never stop coming to us. They descend upon you. They demand you to put up with the difficulties. And even though I was told, Sahanam Sarvadukhanam Apratikara Purvakam. Apratikara Purvakam. Apratikara Purvakam means without being reactive, without fret and fume. Fret and fretting, without fretting and fuming. Um, Without fretting and fuming. Sahanam sarvadukhanam apratigara purvakam chinta vilaparayam, without bewailing. Chinta vilaparayam satitiksha nigadyate. It is said that titiksha is something that is you put up with difficulties without without fretting and fuming, and without reacting to anybody, and that is called titiksha, and that is necessary for everyone, because that is a must, because life is full of difficulties, please. And therefore, if you have titiksha, then you can do away with a lot of comforts, and therefore you can do away with this. Life becomes simple with titiksha. Life becomes simple with titiksha. Titiksha is, but the titiksha itself is not the answer, please. Titiksha gives you relative peace, and relative peace facilitates you to recognize the absolute serenity that is your nature. And therefore, all this freedom from the object, vairagyam, uh, shamaha, damaha, all these things are in the form of giving you relative peace. Mumukshutva, all these things are giving you only relative peace. Relative peace. Prayer also gives you relative peace. Mangala Charanam also gives you relative peace. Relative peace helps you, facilitates you to understand the absolute peace, which is your nature. And therefore, it facilitates you to understand yourself, please, as in your nature. Sahanam sarvadukhanam tidiksha sa shubha mata. Shubha means that is auspicious. Mata means thought of. That is considered to be, mata means considered to be auspicious. Your titiksha is considered to be auspicious, please. Shubha mata. Sa titiksha subha mata. That is called titiksha, and that is auspicious indeed. The next is Nigamacharya Vakyeshu. Nigamacharya Vakyeshu means Vedanta Acharya Vakyeshu. In the words of the Vedanta Acharyas, Bhakti. Bhakti means you consider them to be right. You consider them to be right, and that is called bhakti. That they cannot be wrong. Vedanta is, I am the topic. When I am the topic, when I am there, and they are only talking about me, my existence, my being conscious, my being anandam, etc. And that is why whatever they say is correct, because I am there very much. I am self-evident. I am existence. My existence, I don't have to open my eyes to see, to feel my existence. I don't have to have, even a blind man knows he is there. And even a deaf man, he knows he is there. Even a dumb man, he knows he is there. And therefore, existence is not felt by through the senses, please. And therefore, even in Sushupti, the senses are not there. That is that you recognize in the waking state. Yes, there were no senses. But I was there. It is my experience. I experienced the Sukham. I was peaceful, and I didn't want to. I had no choice, please. That absence of choice itself, the choice that I have in the waking state, that choice I don't have in Sushupti. The absence of choice itself, I don't miss anything. I don't feel anything. And that absence of feeling and missing itself is known to a person. And therefore, it is my experience. And therefore, whatever, I don't have to depend upon the senses to feel my existence. And to know the absence means to be without. To know the absence of a thought means to be without a thought. This is the most important thing to understand, please. Nigamacharyesu Vakyeshu Shraddha iti Vishruta. Shraddha, it is called Shraddha. Shraddha iti. In this manner, Vishruta means it is heard. It is heard. It is heard variously. It is heard in various books that Shraddha means Acharya Vakyeshu. Acharya Vakyeshu, Guru Vakyeshu, Astiti Buddhi. Shastreshu, Guru Vakyeshu, Astiti Buddhi. Satya Buddhi is what is called Shraddha. Sadbuddhi is called Shraddha. And therefore, what they are saying is true. Why? Because they are talking only about my existence. And my existence is very much there. And the Vedanta says your existence can never be eclipsed by anything. Your existence is always there. As the experience of the waking state, as the experience of the dream state, as the experience of the deep sleep state. You are very much there, and therefore you can never die. When the body dies, the person who is the body, that person dies. That Jivatma dies. That Jiva dies. The person who thinks that I am only the body, nothing else. And therefore, when the body goes, he is also gone. His memory is gone, his desire is gone, his identity is gone, his thoughts are gone. But as consciousness, as Paramatma, he is always there. As the body is gone, but as Paramatma is always there. And therefore, this is what you have to understand. Bhakti Shraddheti Vishruta. And therefore, and that whatever the teachers are saying must be true, because they are talking about me, my existence. My existence is not something that is eclipsable by anything. Consciousness cannot be eclipsed by anything. Consciousness is comprehensive of everything. The Atma is comprehensive of the entire Anatma as itself, just as the water is comprehensive of all the waves as itself. It is not in itself, but Atma is comprehensive of everything as itself. Even though we say, Yato vayamani bhutani jayante, yen jatani jivanti, yat prayante abhisanti prepositionti, that some prepositions are given, all prepositions are ultimately dismissed. The Tatparyam is only the Deha is, the Atma is, the Jagat is, all these individuals are that Brahman alone. The waves are born in water, sustained by water, shall go back unto water, we say, to ultimately conclude, to ultimately understand that the wave is water. Similarly, the object is born from Brahma, is made of Brahman, sustained by Brahman, so it will go back unto Brahman. This by and unto and of, all these things are only prepositions, but they have to be understood ultimately in the Tatparyam, and therefore the object is Brahman. The objectness is avidya, and the object, it is the material for it is indeed Brahman. The the objectness is what is called the adhyasa, and that is adjasta. And the more of it we will see in the next class. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांति. ठीक है जी.